Right, so currently in front of me I have an x220 and I'm going to put this through basically the same quote-unquote recording test I did the x201. However, I feel like this may perform slightly worse. Not because of the specs of the device, obviously it's a better processor. I also have 6 gig of RAM in this device instead of the 3 in the x201. But more so because I believe there's an issue with either the CPU or the fan. Temps are much higher than that of the x201. It could potentially be just because it's a more powerful CPU and the fan isn't as good, potentially. But I wanted to preface with that before anything. So let me just get everything open real quick. Should probably have all of this scripted, but unfortunately I do not. So here you can see the temperatures. This is with me recording and the daemons I've got running at the minute. My fan speed is 3600 already. CPU usage over here, and all of this can be replicated in my top bar. If you just look here, got the temperatures approximately, CPU usage, RAM usage. That's all you need to know. So we're going to follow through with basically the same testing I did. That I believe the first thing I did was either Gimp or the browser. So what I'm going to do is going to open this up. I was looking at how to show the temp. I couldn't figure this out, so I just looked at everybody else's SL statuses. Let's just close all this crap down. Okay. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to play a 4K video. Starting should be 480. Work up to 720, 1080 and 2K. So currently this is fine. Video. I'm going to mute it because I don't know how loud that's going to be, so apologies if it was super loud. And also apologies if this video is extremely stuttery. I believe that's going to be an issue. Because of the CPU, so I think that FFMPEG is going to be throttled, but we'll see. So currently 480 perfectly fine as expected. This can play 2K perfectly fine with no issues when it's not recording, and 1080p 60 works perfectly fine while it's not recording as well, while doing pretty much anything else that I do. So that's pretty cool. Move on to 720p. We dropped a couple frames when it was catching up on itself, but it should be fine. I'm gonna go for 1000 frames on each, and then switch to the next setting. Oops. So yeah, 720 is fine. Go for 1080p. Okay, I'm not going to count the first 150 there because it was catching up on itself. But it's not really dropping too many frames. It's doing okay for itself even though it's recording. Bear in mind that some of this will obviously come from the browser. I'm using Brave based on Chromium, so use it as a kind of standpoint as how Chrome would perform. And let's go to 2K. I'm not going to go to 4K because that will kill it, so we'll go 2K. Might not look great for you guys, so apologies in advance, but yeah, even with recording, it's dropping about half of the frames and catching up on itself quite a lot, which it doesn't do usually. It's just because it's recording. So I'm going to pause this, and hopefully any choppiness in the video goes away. So what I'm going to do is drop this to 720 again, but not actually play it. And we're going to jump into Gimp. So, keeping the browser open, we're going to jump into Gimp, which for some reason wants to be tiled. Not tiled, floating. I'm going to grab my graphics tablet so we can use pressure sensitivity. Let's have a look here. Boom. Normal brush, we've got pressure size, which takes a bit more CPU usage, so if I do it lightly into a more hard line, you can see. But scribbling around, no real choppiness to be expected, kind of just works as is. Let's take this up to 100, do the same thing, see how that goes. So CPU usage has increased while doing this. And hopefully it's not choppy, because all it's got open at the minute is a browser with a couple tabs, a 2-tab browser with no video running, and Gimp. So if this is choppy now, that's extremely disappointing. Okay, now we're going to go and play 720 video while fucking about in Gimp. Apologies for swearing. Bad person apparent. I'm a bad person. Feels bad. Okay, so 0 out of 400 and something frames. So we're going to just droodle here. There is a bit of a slowdown with size 100 brush, unfortunately. Tiny bit, and only for like a split second. I'm going to drop this back down to, you know what, I can just type, can't I? Drop this down to 50, and I'm probably going to pop them both on the same window. Because no one's really going to scroll like that, it's just an example of how it's working. So this is playing the 720 video while we're drawing, and it's working fine. Okay, so I'm going to put that up to 1080. We'll see if the same is true here. Ooh, active way is not visible. I'm aware of this. Okay, so we are dropping. Oops. Apparently, I've changed to a confetti brush, which I don't particularly care about. Okay, we're dropping a few frames and it is catching up on itself, because obviously CPU usage also affects the download. But we're kind of cool. It's usable, you can definitely watch video while you're doing it, especially if you don't use a browser, so if you use through MPV or something. Seems okay. I would test a game such as Minecraft. I've done that and it runs about 30 without recording, and it completely dies when I am recording. So that's unfortunate. And one other thing I've got on here that I want to kind of try. I'm going to keep Gimp open now. Make sure this is still playing. Yep, okay. About 149 drop frames. I have Virt Manager. And we're going to try to run a Manjaro virtual machine and see how that runs. It's just off of the install disk, it's not the actual full virtual machine, but we'll see how it goes. It should be set up properly so it just boots, but we'll see. Never know, it's me, so could have messed it up. Okay, And all we're going to do is just see if the mouse is choppy when moving around the virtual machine. I believe it's 1 core, 2 gig of RAM, but it might be 1 core, 1 gig of RAM. So we'll see when it boots up. We'll also check this, 160 odd frames per second. It's dropping more frames now, unfortunate. But again, this is while it's recording the screen. CPU is recording the screen pretty bad. So I'm going to pause that. And that will hopefully prevent the choppiness I mentioned. Hopefully. However, like I say, this is just a recording test. This is more so for me than for anybody else. I think what I am going to do, especially if people would like, is I will run a actual benchmarking test on each of the laptops, so the X200, the X201 and the X220. I'll record benchmarking on those and compile the tests, and we'll see why it's messed up or not. Okie dokie, I'm just going to full screen this. Tiny bit of lag there, it's nothing terrible. Always just froze itself up. Again, this is perfectly fine when I'm not recording, and if you install the actual, I think it's QXL drivers, when the distro is fully installed, it'll work much better. But yeah, let's do that. Just open the installer. See if the menu is laggy or anything. American English. Nope, we want British English. We're around about there. It's fine. I'm lazy, so I'm just going to do that. Okay, it seems to be okay. That's pretty cool. Oops. And if we, this is just a normal mouse, but seems to be fairly decent. Okay, so I'm going to benchmark these when I have time. It's probably going to be 1 video a week, so next weekend I'm going to be able to hopefully install Debian to a new SSD and just switch it between all of the devices. Do all the benchmarking, compile the results, and let everybody know how it goes. If there is anything specific people want me to bench, let me know. I believe that the benchmarking I'm going to follow will be probably, let's have a look, I did jot this down. Building GCC, building Firefox, running a Blender test, doing an FFMPEG test, an Nginx test, and an Open Arena test. So we get some CPU and GPU tests in there. If there's anything else people want me to run, for instance like a 7-zip test, let me know. But yeah, for now, I'm hoping this is okay and isn't jittery and bad.